You're protected with Biergwacht. London Bridge is falling down. No, wait, that's your business. And you have 6 hours before the security event self-destructs. These stories and much more on today's episode of MSP Dispatch.
This episode is presented by the Salty Soul Foundation. Since 2017, Salty Soul has removed over 20,000 pounds of trash in Florida and California. Visit saltysoulfoundation.org to support this organization via direct donation or purchase of their merchandise.
Good morning and welcome to the August 23rd, 2022 episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. I'm Ray Orsini, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Tony Francisco. How you doing, Tony?
Good, brother. How the heck are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. I'm learning a little Dutch. I'm, trying to scrounge up $300 to see if there's any business. You'll see why that's relevant later. We won't give away any teasers. But how you doing, man?
Everything is going good. I'm just doing repair stuff. I told you earlier I'm spending $5 a fuse to fix my Traeger grill smoker. I'm going crazy over that. But I didn't realize that $5 could be so much better if you just save that a little bit, maybe like 10 fuses for that $300. We're getting back to that. Oh my gosh, we can't escape the story.
You're from Florida, man. You can take aluminum foil, stick it in there. I know I'm not the only one. I mean, come on. What's the worst that could happen? All right, let's get rid of the nonsense. Let's get into the news.
Let's get into the news.
Our first story, Huntress Neighborhood Watch acting on DIVD findings. Huntress's huge investment into protecting MSPs and the rest of the 99% has just paid off in a big way. Previously reported on July 20th, 2022, in our interview with Tracy Risco, Huntress's Neighborhood Watch is their investment of $5 million to provide their detection and response services to MSPs at no cost. As of August 22nd, merely days since the launch, that program has found its first considerable threat in a common IT service management program known as ITSM in their agent, and it can be exploited with publicly available proof of concept exploits. Huntress will begin notifying affected partners who have at least one of these agents, along with the instructions how to remedy. According to Itarian, full disclosure, written by Heidi Schmidt, and I apologize if I mispronounced that, DIVD researchers have found multiple vulnerabilities on the Itarian SaaS platform. Itarian on-premise, version 6.35.37347.20040, that's a mouthful, and Endpoint Manager Communication Client, version 6.43.41148.21120. If you didn't get those, they're in the show notes. Itarian is an RMM software suite that allows admins to manage endpoints. Because of this powerful position within the organization, RMM suites are often targeted by malicious actors. The vulnerabilities were discovered in December 2021. However, contact and subsequent fixes only started rolling out in May. Huntress's Neighborhood Watch program is open to all MSPs by signing up at huntress.com/neighborhood. Tony, we knew protecting MSPs is important. Did you expect the program to pay off so quickly?
Wow. Like who thought of it? And right now, are they just sitting back saying, yes, look at me. Look at the benefit I bring to the community. You to the community. I give you, the community, the power. I am so impressed with this. It makes me happy on so many levels. Give me your thoughts on this, because I know I'm not the only one that's thinking this.
No, this is fantastic. I mean, we used to laugh at, like, we talked about, you're an old Microsoftie like I am. We used to talk back in the days, like, why do people have to pay for antivirus? Microsoft should be protecting its own OS. And, people complained about that. We all had our Zone Alarm and our, ICE Defender and all that fun stuff. Now, Huntress comes out and says, we're going to protect you. We're not going to charge you. MSPs, you are the center of concern for insurance companies, for small businesses. You're in the news all the time. Huntress says, we're just going to protect you. Sign up.
But that's the acknowledgement. That's what I'm so excited about. They didn't just say, yes, we get it. not only do they acknowledge it, but they're actually taking actions to support that. That's what's so exciting about it. And maybe I'm overreacting to it, but I feel like this is, the keystone to an avalanche of potential vendor involvement and pushing forward to what I consider to be the last mile between the vendors and the customers. That MSP is the connective tissue that is critical and so commonly just undervalued in the big scheme of things, but it is absolutely critical.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I went back when the Log4j thing happened. I often asked, you have your RMM agent everywhere. Can't they proactively alert by searching through, CVEs and saying, not that you've been affected, you could be affected. And this is a beautiful example of that. It's not saying you've been compromised. It's saying you could be compromised. Here's the information. I'm happy to see Huntress do it. We want to hear your thoughts from the MSPs. Put it in the comments below or shoot us an email, shoot us a comment on all our socials. But for now, Tony, $300. I know you like numbers, man.
Well, for $300, a lot's happening. As listed on www.stuff.co.nz, the dark web where you can destroy a business for $300, written by Daniel Smith. If you want to destroy a business, all you need is about $300. And of course, you need to know where to spend it. Peter Bailey, head of cybersecurity at Theta, says that on the dark web, a part of the internet that's only accessible with specialized software, criminal enterprises are becoming increasingly complex, streamlined, and professional. Now, a cyber criminal can buy a ready-made ransomware program online between $200 and $350 in a dark web marketplace. One section of a particular marketplace sells toeholds, which are vulnerabilities in a business that can be used to overtake an entire system. A toehold is found when a group of hackers focus on a particular company and access what its vulnerabilities are. You can do a lot with automated scanning and bots, but from there, they sell that information to hackers who might want to attack said business. Running a ransomware campaign costs $200 US, plus at the same time it takes to run it, you're going to need toehold information, which you can readily purchase, and that costs an extra $15 to $20. So in total, it's possible to take down a business in New Zealand, where the report was done, for as little as $215, which equates from the US trade 62 cents for the US dollar, about $296. So for $300, Ray, my brain is hurting as I describe this. For $300, you can have a out-of-the-box, ready to go ransomware campaign. Tell me your thoughts on this. I feel like am I the only one that's concerned though? Because are we no longer shielded by our experience and knowledge just because somebody's got $300? It doesn't matter. It's over.
I just want to start with, I had to learn for my teaser how to say neighborhood watch in Dutch, which was Burgtwacht, which my wife is behind me laughing. And you didn't get some weird, some weird to U.S. parlance name for the New Zealand dollar. It's just New Zealand dollar. I mean,
dollar.
I'm just going to point out the unfairness there. But, I'll say what I thought when this first happened. When we first started talking about the story, going back to my wife, she was listening to me talk about this, and she said, I mean, Phil will get to use one of his new bleeps thanks to Isaac. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at the last Tuesday show. But the thing is, $300. We're not talking thousands of dollars. When we talk about you can go to the dark web and book somebody to do a DDoS attack or to do some massive attack against a client, you think this is thousands of dollars. This is $300. This is the equivalent of an Oculus VR. This is the equivalent of a couple, more than a few good seats at a football game. $300 is not a whole lot to be able to firebomb somebody's business. This is a crazy, crazy thing. This is a little terrifying. Now, the real question, Tony, do you think this is going to boil down to SMBs? Are they going to understand this? Are MSPs going to use it as part of their sales tactics?
I mean, there's two ways of looking at this. First and foremost, we're all subject to this particular type of attack, because who doesn't have access to $296? And I'd also like to point out that there are no geographic limitations to this. This is globally we're talking about now. Since everyone is subject to that, the real question is the MSPs that are out there that are no longer, let me rephrase that, they're not readily preparing for a ransomware attack with active backups, with active testing for the restoration. Are we looking at these trade shows that we go to with these hundreds, if not thousands, of MSPs as a graveyard of the previous model? Is the new model going to shift because of this? Because I don't see any limitations to the scale of this particular, the ease of consumption, the ease of execution, the ease of, frankly, doing whatever comes to someone's mind for $300. It's absolutely terrifying. This is something that we should all be taking more than just a little serious and implementing in the core points of our business.
And I appreciate that you are the bastion of accuracy, that you went and did the math to the 62 cents US dollar to the conversion. Can I please ask that we maintain talking about it as $300 just because it's $4 more difficult to attain?
It's $296. It's $296. I did the math. It's $296. It's not. The article is wrong.
In story 3, everything you need to know about India's new guidelines related to cyber incident reporting by CERT India. The Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, known as Indian CERT, issued directions under the Information Technology Act relating to information and security practices, procedures, prevention, response, and reporting of cyber incidents for safe and trusted internet. The directions include synchronization of time clocks to NTP servers of the National Informatics Center and reporting cyber incidents within 6 hours to CERT India. Companies are required to maintain logs for 180 days and to assign a point of contact CERT-In can communicate with for any information. Data centers, VPS providers, cloud service providers, and VPN service providers were also given additional directions. Issued on April 28th, the directions aim to augment and strengthen cybersecurity in the country effective June 27th, 2022. Here to talk about what this means for MSPs and their vendors is a friend of the show and president of CNWR, Jason Slagle. How you doing, Jason?
I'm good. How about you?
Good, man. So let's start off with that date first. That June 27th has been, was it pushed or what's the actual effective date of this?
It looks like it's been pushed based on some other resources I saw to a new date of September 25th.
Okay, and I want to point out, you brought this story up. I actually pinged you because you had mentioned it to one of the various communities. Jason, I'm going to steal a note from a friend of the show, also Dave Sobel. Why do MSPs care about this?
MSPs care about this because there are vendor implications that I don't fully understand yet, because reading the full text of this order, it's clear as mud. I can't tell based on either the FAQ or the actual note itself whether, if, for instance, you had a security provider doing outsourced SOC or NOC work for you, and that provider happened to have resources in India, if they discovered a breach on one of your client networks, I don't know what the reporting requirements are. It's not clear. I haven't found any explicit forgiving if this is a foreign resource, right? So it looks to me, based on my reading of it, that if you were using an Indian-based SOC or a SOC with Indian-based resources and they found a breach on one of your client networks, that they would have to report it to CERT.
Is this limited to SOCs? I mean, using Indian resources for network operations centers, for help desk support, monitoring of all sorts of types. I mean, that's commonplace in the MSP space. Many large vendors use these resources, right?
100%. I picked on SOCs in particular because they're the most likely to find a security incident, but I don't see anything in this that limits it to that. And I mean, more to the point, right? If you're a hosting provider hosting any number of things, web stuff, potentially remote control screen software, other things that has resources based in India. There are other further requirements around ensuring legitimacy and having information on the customers. And I'm guessing that's so if there is a breach using some of those resources, they can track it back down to the original purchaser. It's seems to be pretty up in the air for me right now as to what the implications to our industry are going to be out of this. We need case law, I guess.
So I have a question for you, Jason.
Yep.
What I'm seeing, though, or at least I'm sensing, there's a mismatch in standards, U.S.-based and India-based standards, and the reporting. There's pros and cons. What are the insurance implications of this if you are outsourcing this? Hold on, don't steal my thunder just yet. If you're outsourcing this to someone else, if there's a shift change, if you have the 8 plus 8 plus 8 overseas, and what are the ramifications of your policies internally reporting a potential breach now as opposed or later or after 72 hours, and they need to do it now to something at a larger scale?
Yeah, and that's a huge thing, right? And that's one of the unknowns to me, right? Is that like having dealt with a lot of these sorts of things in the past, insurance doesn't want you to notify until they've gone through and done at least preliminary forensics to indicate that you actually have a breach, because they hate that word. And this thing is requiring you to report in 6 hours, right? So we have a huge mismatch here where we could rely on a situation where somebody is going to end up reporting this to a government agency in another country. I don't know how that's going to come back to the US. Presumably it will, because the statute mentions specifically friendly relations with foreign states or public ordering for preventing incitement, right? So it specifically mentions that one of the reasons they're doing this is they want to be friendly with their allies. I don't know what the implications are if you were using outsourced resources and they came across a breach.
Is this going to affect, as an MSP, is this going to affect how you select vendors, or are you going to do an audit of your current vendors to see if they use extra U.S. Resources?
Potentially. I don't notably use any that would have direct customer interaction with anybody that I know of now, right? Because while I don't have any CMMC encumbered in clients at the moment, I am cognizant of the fact that if you end up serving somebody that's bound by that, you're contractually obligated to only use onshore U.S. citizens. As a matter of fact, you can't outsource any of that stuff at all. So to date, we haven't had any dealings there. That being said, we for sure use vendors that live in these worlds, right? I'm just not sure they have enough access into my data that they would actually be able to see a breach and report it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your insight, Jason. I know you're short on time, so I appreciate you jumping on. If you're one of the MSPs if you're an MSP that may be using resources that have resources in India or may be affected, we'd love to see how you're addressing these things. Go ahead and hit us up in the comments. We'll include the link to the full story, as well as Jason's content and contact information. Follow him on LinkedIn. He is a plethora of information, which is why we have him on so often. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Yep. See you later.
Thanks, Jason. Jumping into our notable mentions on bleepingcomputer.com, WordPress sites hacked with fake Cloudflare DDoS alerts pushing malware, written by Bill Toilis. Apologies if the pronunciation isn't correct. Currently, we have Word sites that are being hacked to display fake Cloudflare DDoS protection pages to distribute malware that installs on net support RAT, that's R-A-T, and the Raccoon Stealer password stealing Trojan horse. As detailed in a report by Sakuri, threat actors are hacking poorly protected WordPress sites to add heavily obfuscated JavaScript payloads that displays a Cloudflare protection DDoS screen. In a detailed report, with the use of a fake ISO file, the security patch will run a PowerShell command, ultimately causing a chain of scripts to run that display fake DDoS code needed to view the site, as well as installing the net support RAT and a remote access Trojan used extensively in malicious campaigns today. Additionally, the scripts will download the Raccoon Stealer password stealing Trojan and launch it on any device where this is attacked. And in our next notable mention, as mentioned in siliconangle.com, written by Duncan Riley, detailed August 16th by security researchers at ESET, SRO on Twitter, the new Lazarus campaign involves phony emails impersonating Coinbase developer job listings. The fake job emails include an attachment containing malicious files that can compromise both Intel and Apple chip-powered Mac computers. The Mac malware drops 3 files: a decoy PDF document, a fake font updater app, and a downloader called Safari Font Agent. The bundle of malicious files is timestamped at July 21st, indicating that the campaign is new and not part of the original and previous Lazarus campaigns. Although the campaign has so far been successfully blocked, the results could have been far worse, and the campaign remains ongoing.
In my notable, as reported by, I apologize, Jai Vijayan on darkreading.com, patch now. 2 Apple 0 days are exploited in the wild. Security researchers are urging users of Apple, Mac, iPhone, and iPad devices to immediately update to the latest versions of the operating system to mitigate risk from 2 critical vulnerabilities that attackers are actively exploiting. The 0-day flaws allow threat actors to complete control of affected devices and impact their users. Even though Apple disclosed the vulnerabilities and the updates addressing them on Wednesday, Rick Holland of Digital Shadows said that it would have been more useful for defenders if Apple had provided more context and details around the flaws. Of course, we will leave the link in the show notes below.
So, Ray, we got some good feedback coming in. I'm going to throw out the last one first from Connor Swalm, who says, LOL, keep putting the outtakes at the end. I'll keep watching them. Those outtakes are absolutely hilarious. They're amazing. And I watch them literally first before every single episode. So I just want to point that out. But here's the one we're going to end with. We got an email or message from Darren Kitchen, the owner of Hack5, the maker of the rubber ducky, the article that we talked about, the cutest, most terrifying entity on this planet. Ray, tell me your thoughts.
He says, thanks for the shout out. Keen on keeping InfoSec cute. We appreciate you, Darren. Been following you for years. Go check out hack5.org and all the other stuff Darren's in. Really cool stuff. And we got more feedback from Discord. I don't think we've had this much feedback ever. We have JCS of Ramsey Solutions saying, I love that groovy beat between the stories. I do too. Absolutely. We have Reject saying we got major screensavers vibes. Absolutely we do. And closing out with Isaac saying, my apologies to your editor. That was great, referring to all the new bleeping we did. Phil, you have your apologies, but Isaac, you have my thanks because that was awesome.
And in our community events, August 23rd and 24th, an in-person event, ASCII Success Summit in Miami, Florida. On the 24th at 12 Eastern Standard Time, Build It Better discussion group presented by Everything MSP. On the 24th and 25th, an in-person event, 7-Figure MSP Live in Charlotte, North Carolina. And finally, on the 26th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, MSP Dispatch weekly wrap-up with yours truly and Ray Orsini, presented by the MSP Media Network.
Don't forget to check out the other shows on the MSP Media Network, including 38 at 38.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and I'm a jobaholic. We all have something in common. We all have a worst job story. Each episode, I'll welcome one guest to share their most insane worst job story. And in return, I'll share one of mine. Join me the first Friday of every month for new episodes of 38 at 38.
So how'd you like today's show? If you like it, hit that thumbs up button. If you hated it, hit it twice. And if you want to hear more, especially more bloopers, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher. And the podcatcher is that app that actually downloads and plays your podcast for you. I had to explain that to somebody the other day. I don't remember where I got the parlance, probably from Twit. But if you hadn't heard before, now you know. As my friend Rich Banky says, make sure to tell a friend. Also, be sure to follow us on social media at MSP Media TV. Have any questions? Email news@mspmedia.tv for answers on the next episode. Or call us at our brand new phone number, 833 MSP Network. Tony, that's all she wrote for today's show. Thank you for your insights, your commentary, your conversion from New Zealand dollars to US dollars. I appreciate that.
You know what? We haven't heard dolphins for a while, so what the
yeah. Whatever. Just listen, as long as we have hate sex, I think it's a good episode. Can I get you one more time for my soundboard? Can you hate sex?
Ready? Hate sex is good.
That's all she wrote. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this wild ride of MSP Dispatch. We will catch you on Friday.
See y'all.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.
You're protected by Biertwacht. London's bridge is falling down. Michelle laughing at me behind me. I'm going to kick you out if you can't control yourself. All right. Let me hear this one more time. Okay.